Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 3 Yards and a Cloud of Dust NFL podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and with me, as always, my co host, Jonathan.
Hey guys.
And we apologize for the late upload this week. Just multiple things kind of got in the way, and we were doing our best to find time to actually be able to get this to you. We were afraid we weren't going to get anything at all to you this week, there for a little bit. So we've got no dedicated news episode this week, but we've got our recap of last week, and then, of course, stay tuned for later today. We'll have our preview of this upcoming week's games right after this. So let's jump real quick into the recap.
Yep.
Wow, if we thought week 1 was wild, holy crap. This was a crazy week too.
Oh yeah, and with injuries.
Yeah, there were a few key injuries, but let's we're gonna run through our 5 picks for the week, which Jonathan did not do so great on this time around. But hey, it happens.
I had faith in the other Wookiee. That's all I can say.
And we're going to talk about that in a little bit because obviously that game was one of our picks. But however, both of our perfect records from week 1 have been shattered.
Yep.
You by 3, me by 1. Because I don't think either of us saw that loss to Kansas City to Baltimore coming.
No, and it's like I also saw...
Especially after how that game started.
I saw at the beginning of the game, basically, what it was saying, it's like Lamar against Mahomes and Kansas City, he did not win at all. This was the first win he's had against Kansas City.
Yeah, but it was a great game. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So first off, we have the New York Giants against the Washington football team from last Thursday. What can I say? Taylor Heinicke looked really good in that game.
Oh yeah.
Actually, both offenses played extremely well. Daniel Jones even played really well.
Yeah.
It's just Washington was just a little bit better. They ended up taking the win 30-29.
Yeah, and that's something I like seeing is those close contest games.
Yeah. And it wasn't like it was really bad defense on either part. It was just the offenses were clicking really, really well for both teams.
Yeah, and it's like you saw the defenses played extremely well on both sides too. So it was just better offenses on both sides.
Yeah. While I'm not 100% sold on Heinicke just yet, I do like what I saw. Obviously, he looked like he was really set to take over this team. So I think Ron Rivera has a good answer to the loss of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
And we both know that Ryan Fitzpatrick can be very inconsistent at times with his play.
Yep.
And if Heinicke can keep up what he's been doing in his last couple of starts for the Washington football team, and he can keep that going over the course of the season, I don't see Fitzpatrick taking another snap unless, Heinicke gets injured.
Yeah. So it will come down to this game to see can he keep up that high caliber play.
Yeah. So Washington football team improves to 1-1, and the New York Giants have dropped to 0-2 for the 4th time in 4 years.
Yep.
And I think they've started 0-2 like at least 10 times over the last 11 seasons, which is not great.
No, but they somehow start coming back up week 5.
Yeah,
but
I do have faith. I think they'll play better this week, but that'll be saved for our next episode.
Yeah.
Our next up game is from the early games on Sunday, and that is the Patriots against the Jets in New York.
The Rookies.
Yeah, and I have to say, Mac Jones looked a lot better than Zach Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think Zach Wilson played bad. I think he just got the
worst end of what their defense
of a bad
can
situation.
do.
Yeah,
it's like both rookies played extremely well, and both offenses played well. Just Patriots defense was just a little bit better.
Yeah, and while yes, I do know Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions in the game, including 3 in the first half alone. I don't think that was necessarily all his fault. Yeah, I think he was trying to make things happen when he shouldn't have, but I think it's exactly what I highlighted last week, his lack of weapons.
Yeah.
His only legitimate weapon on that offense right now is Corey Davis.
And
what did the Patriots do? They took Corey Davis away.
Yeah, they literally doubled him up.
Yeah.
And so literally the only way he would be able to get the ball would have Wilson force a throw over his head.
Yeah. And then of course we saw the terrible O-line for the Jets again. The defense of the Jets didn't actually play as bad as the score might say, and of course New England won 25-6. It was just the fact that New England is a more complete team under Mac Jones.
And Mac Jones, not only one is playing old school football, slowing down the pace, but two, he also has more weapons than Wilson.
Yeah. And I mean, I figured Damian Harris would have a bounce back game, and he did. He played extremely well. That was a hell of a run where he basically forced himself into the end zone. That was beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And of course, the tag team of Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry as the tight ends. I mean,
you can't really get a much better tight end combo like that.
Yeah, like I said, this is harkening back to the days of Gronk and Hernandez with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And of course, you have guys like Nelson Aguilar. You have the multitude of wide receivers there that while a lot of them are not the best caliber receivers, they're decent enough to help out to where you've got guys like Damian Harris, Jonnu Smith, and Hunter Henry who are most likely going to be your primary targets.
Yeah. And
the other guys are just helping out, and they're doing their job, and they're doing it well for Mac Jones.
Yeah, and so I really actually would not be surprised if I see them come into the wild card competition towards the end of the season. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I definitely see them being there. I see possibly even giving some good games against Buffalo this year.
Without doubt.
Yeah. Jumping back real quick to the Washington one game, the one thing I forgot to highlight was the fact that we both picked Washington in that game to win. And, of course, we were both right. Now, however, in the New England-New York Jets game, you picked the Jets. I picked the Patriots.
It was the battle of the rookies. I really want to see basically what we could look at.
Like I said, I truly believe that Zach Wilson is the best of the rookie quarterbacks.
But
he's
Mac
just
Jones,
not.
He is like if the situations were flipped, well, Mac Jones was on the Jets and Wilson was on the Patriots, I guarantee that it would have been more of a blowout.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think so.
But Mac Jones doesn't have weapons, and that's hard.
You mean Wilson doesn't have weapons?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Wilson doesn't have weapons.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that New York's going to have to definitely improve on. They're going to have to go out and get him some weapons. They've got to start trading. I don't think they can. I don't think if they want to have something this season, they can't afford to wait for the draft or wait for the off season next year. They've got to go make some trades now and get some guys.
Yeah, because it's like if you can get a couple guys for the line and at least one other wide receiver he can use, that's going to be beneficial for him.
Yeah. So with that, obviously the Patriots moved to 1-1, and the Jets dropped to 0-2 as well.
Yep.
So both teams in New York are sitting at 0-2. And then, so our next game after that would be the late game. Would be our pick for the late game on Sunday. Would be the Cowboys and Chargers.
Yes.
It was a lot better of a game than the penalties would suggest. There was a lot of penalties in that game.
There was too many. God. There was really too many.
I think I remember them highlighting like
Cowboys had
11 or 12 penalties in the third quarter alone from both teams. And it's like it seemed like every time somebody scored a touchdown, it got called back.
Yeah, and it's like it looked. They did pull it up, and Cowboys, if I saw correctly, had like 100 yards in penalties.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact yardage or anything like that, but I just know that the Chargers alone had 3 touchdowns called back on penalties.
Yeah.
Like it was. Oh yeah. So.
And they were all holding.
Yeah, it was a lot of stupid penalties. It really was. The Cowboys did end up emerging victorious on that one. They beat the Chargers 20-17 on a last-minute Greg Zuerlein field goal as time expired.
Yep.
Like literally, it was. I think there was 5 seconds left on the clock when he went to kick.
Yep.
And he put it through from 56 yards.
Yeah, which is a really good distance because he was almost to midfield at that point.
Well, yeah, and the fact that he was so inconsistent in week 1, it was, week 1 is usually the week that teams take to get the rust off, so, they're going to have to both teams are going to have to clean up those penalties if they want any shot at playoffs this year.
I really want to see a kicker hit a 70-yard field goal.
I mean, yeah, that would be impressive, but I don't think anybody's near ready for that yet. You'd have to be at least in Denver to try it.
With all that wind.
Well, that and, the mile-high air, it allows the ball to travel farther. That's where the record-holding 63-yard field goal is from. Mm-hmm. Is from Denver. I think Matt Prater kicked it.
I believe so.
Sebastian Janikowski, the former Raiders all-time scorer, he had a 62-yarder there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where a lot of those longer field goals end up coming from, is up there in the higher altitude, where the air is a little thinner. But yeah, I mean, there's not too much that can really be said about the game. The Cowboys played a little bit better than the Chargers. That's all.
Yeah. And it's like we saw in week 1 with how well the Cowboys played against the Bucs.
Yeah.
And that was a really good game. So seeing the Cowboys come in against the Chargers, we knew that was going to be a good game.
I guess really the only thing we can kind of comment on is the fact that both running games looked really good.
Both running games and both passing games looked extremely decent.
Yeah. Justin Herbert, he made a couple of mistakes through a couple of interceptions. One key one in the end zone when the Chargers were about to score.
Yeah.
So that kind of that didn't help either. But overall, it still was a fairly good game in my opinion.
Oh, without a doubt.
So, and of course, both teams are now sitting at 1-1.
Yep.
Of course, the Cowboys they lost week 1. The Chargers won week 1. So, but yeah. And our next game up, another good one,
was the Chiefs Baltimore.
Yeah. Yep.
Chargers.
I mean,
we just did the Chargers.
Yeah. But that was another game that was really exciting all the way through, and for completely different reasons. There weren't as many penalties in this one. But it was back and forth almost all night long. It did look like early on the Chiefs might be running away with it with how their defense was, because Lamar Jackson, he completed 2 beautiful passes to Tyrann Mathieu on the Chiefs defense.
Yeah.
One for a pick 6. They were beautiful throws, just to the wrong team.
Yeah. But it's but he somehow pulled it out in the second half and came in stronger and better than he did in the first half, and he ended up playing better. There was one play that I think that he should have been able to hold on to the ball, but on that last one,
obviously that fumble was key,
and especially
the Ravens defense stepped up in that fourth quarter. It really did.
Oh yeah. And
because even that one interception that Patrick Mahomes threw, it didn't end up affecting them at all because the Ravens weren't able to score off of it.
No.
But yeah, other than that, it was. Of course, the Ravens also missed 2-point conversions and still managed to win the game somehow.
Yeah, and it's like when Baltimore was down at the 4th and 1 with like a minute 11 seconds, I believe, was left on that game clock.
Yeah. You
can actually see the head coach yelling at Lamar asking, "Do you want to go for this?" You can tell that he said yes, and he said, "Okay, then let's go."
Yeah, and then of course the second time, you immediately saw John Harbaugh. He went for the 2. He was immediately going for the 2 because he wanted to try and he wanted to give him an 8-point lead instead of a 6-point lead. They took a chance, and 2-point conversions don't often turn over. They don't. Most teams have a very low conversion rate.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, especially when the ball is placed on the 2-yard line, and you have to try and find some way to punch it in. Most defenses in the NFL practice for that kind of a situation.
Especially
they practice to be able to stop a team that close to the end zone.
Yeah, and the thing is with that, it's like they'll usually have 3 players on the outside, and then you have 8 players blitzing in.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you really stop that? You only have six people blocking.
Yeah, but so, I guess honestly, the takeaway that we come from this game is the fact that both their defenses are not doing well right now.
No, neither defense is doing well.
Because
both
the Chiefs,
both the offenses are actually doing extremely well.
Well, yeah, and that's to be expected. But the fact is, the Chiefs had given up, I think, over 60 points.
Oh yeah.
In the first 2 games of the season.
Yep.
So that's a little worrisome for a lot of people, I know. And like I said, once again, nobody expected Baltimore to win that game.
No. And
I think everybody expected the Chiefs to win at least by 10 points.
Yeah, and Baltimore proved all of us wrong. So we end up both losing that game.
Yeah, and of course, Lamar Jackson had his 9th career game with 100-plus pass yards and 100-plus rushing yards. And that is now the record, or at least the most since the 1950s.
Yeah, and
or 1950 exactly.
And he is actually in with the other quarterbacks that have, on average, more running yards than passing.
Yeah. Of course, we both picked the Chiefs in that one.
Yeah, and we both lost that one.
Yeah. We both picked the Cowboys in the Dallas-Los Angeles game.
Yep.
So we both got that one right. But yeah, I don't think either of us expected that to lose that Chiefs pick.
Oh, no.
And then last of the games that we picked for last week would be the Monday night game with the Lions and the Packers in Green Bay. And the Packers did exactly what I said they would. They rebounded. They played well. Aaron Jones played extremely well.
And Goff just going to get anything started.
Yeah. I figured the Packers defense would rebound after such an ugly loss to New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
You had to figure.
Especially when they probably looked back and it's like, we just lost to a team that doesn't have Drew Brees.
Yeah. Yeah, they had to do a gut check between those 2 games, and the Packers, they figured it out.
Oh yeah, and they did well doing it.
Yeah, Goff didn't look bad, but he's definitely looked better. You can definitely tell he's missing Cooper Kupp.
Oh yeah,
right about now.
Well, it's like we see how well Stafford loves Cooper Kupp.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like the last two games just
he's not throwing to anybody else pretty much.
No, it's like fantasy wise, out of these last two weeks,
yeah,
he has over 80 points in just 2 weeks.
Yeah, and
which is ridiculous.
That's insane. That is insane. But yeah,
it's insane, baby.
But I told you the Packers were probably going to win it by multiple scores,
and they did.
Yeah, what was it? 12 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was 2 possessions and
no. 18 points. They won it by
so 3 possessions.
3 scores pretty much.
So they basically Lions would have had to not only get 18.8 points on the first 2 drives, but also be able to hit a field goal.
Yeah, just to win it. But
so
yeah, the Packers. What can I say? Aaron Jones had 4 touchdowns in that game.
It was extremely well played.
By the Packers, yes, it was.
So
yeah, so the Packers improved to 1-1. The Lions dropped to 0-2 again.
which is not really that much of a shocker because they don't know how to get key pieces.
Yeah. And, of course, you picked the Lions for that game. You thought they were going to come out on top, especially. And, I mean, I can't blame you for taking them. There was an ugly showing by Green Bay in Week 1.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you at all for picking them.
And it's like, if you look at it, it's like, oh, I picked the Lions because, like, I really want to see, okay, is Green Bay really going to be able to rebound from how bad they played? Or will it be the same continuation they had against Arizona?
Yeah, and with how many starters didn't play in the preseason, like I said, I don't fault you for taking the Lions in that game. I just had an idea that Green Bay was going to rebound.
And they did.
Green Bay, and they did.
And they did.
So of our picks this week, you went 2-3.
And you went 4-1.
Yep. Yeah. So neither of us has a perfect record anymore. I'm just 9-1, and you're 7-3.
Yeah.
But real quick, before we get into a quick recap of all the other teams, our two teams were drastically different this week.
Oh yeah, Dolphins with Tua getting injured and that they end up losing 35-0 against the Bills, which even with Tua in, I'm pretty sure they would only been able to get 10 points on the board, and they would still lost at 35.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. So they will have lost anyway.
Biggest shutout since Week 3 of 1992.
Yes.
Defeating the Dolphins 35-0. So the Bills improved to 1-1. So now they're in a three-way tie with the Patriots and the Dolphins for first place.
Yep. With the Patriots losing to the Dolphins in Week 1.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the biggest piece of news out of that game is the fact that Tua is most likely going to miss at least 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
With his fractured ribs.
Yeah, so
unfortunately, I just don't think their backup is going to be able to cut it. I mean, they were already, the Dolphins winning over New England was extremely close. The only reason they won that was because of that fumble at pretty much the goal line.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a real struggle for the Dolphins to get anything going for the next few weeks.
Oh yeah, and so seeing the I don't really expect to see the Dolphins either on a Thursday night, Sunday night, or Monday night game at all through the next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. Another piece of news that we do need to highlight is that Amari Cooper, he suffered a rib injury in the Dallas-Los Angeles game.
Yeah, if I'm correct from what they said, it's just a
bruised ribs. So but chances are he'll be ready to go by this weekend.
But it will also depend because even though it's not a broken or fractured, bruising still hurts, especially when it's in that area.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him out for this week so he can heal up.
It's possible. It'll depend on who's available because remember they've already lost Michael Gallup for several weeks.
Yes.
So that's one of their key wide receivers that's not going to be available. I don't think you want to sit there and just limit it to being Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, and Jarwin for the next couple of weeks. Well, I think you have to have if Cooper can play, if he can play, I think he has to play this next week.
Yeah, and if he doesn't start, he'll probably come in for certain situations for helping them get at least a first down.
Yeah.
But I don't really see him playing the entire game.
Yeah, and then probably one of the surprises from this weekend would be my team, the Las Vegas Raiders, upsetting Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, beating them 26-17. That defense played extremely well.
Oh yeah. And your one game was on spot.
And that was without Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. We were relying on basically Kenyon Drake for most of the game. We had Peyton Barber as well, who he did decently. He did, but it was the Henry Ruggs that pass was that was beautiful.
Oh yeah.
That it was another. It was a bit kind of almost similar to the game-winning pass from Carr to Zay Jones against Baltimore.
Yeah.
But you saw the speed of Ruggs. He just outran everybody.
Oh yeah. a smaller wide, and he he was able to get that quick first step, especially when he did his little quick juke move, and he was gone.
Yeah, and of course Hunter Renfrow, he's still proving he's a reliable target. He's a solid third down guy. I mean, you can pretty much count on the Raiders going to either Hunter Renfrow or to Darren Waller.
Yeah.
On a third down situation, and they're going to fight for every yard. This Raider team, if they can keep this up, they have a chance to get off to a really good start to the season. And if their defense plays anywhere close to the way they played against Pittsburgh this week against Miami, then I feel sorry for your Dolphins.
Until they face Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get... It's going to be close, but they're going to lose.
I mean, Brady's going to be hard to beat for anybody, so...
Because you're going to have to do a shootout. You don't have a choice on that one.
Yeah.
Because you can try running it, but it's going to... End game, it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't run the ball much. He usually passes, and which is why
he's been passing a lot this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But my Raiders, they improved to 2-0 on the season. One of the only two undefeated teams in the AFC left, with the other being the Denver Broncos. Surprise, surprise. I mean, literally, that's as big a surprise that the fact that Denver is 2-0.
It would be funny if if both yours and Denver are undefeated when you guys go up against each other, and Broncos but brings in the upset.
There are two notable injuries that came out of the Raiders-Steelers game. Obviously, one of the more notable ones is Derek Carr suffering a rib was it a rib or ankle injury?
Ankle.
No, it was rib. It was rib as well. But they've already said that he's cleared. He is a definite lock to play this weekend.
Okay.
So, and then of course
that's definitely a big player they need.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Especially with Mariota out on IR. Of course, you can hear my dog clicking down the hallway in the background, so please don't mind that. But the injury that we need to highlight for Pittsburgh is their wide receiver Deontay Johnson suffered what's been described as a knee injury.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going to be able to play. However, if he aggravates it again, that could cost him some time.
Oh, yeah.
So he is trending towards being able to play this week, which is good because Pittsburgh needs him. The tandem of him, Smith-Schuster, and Chase Claypool, that is
a deadly
big factor. That is a big factor for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Losing one of those guys would definitely hurt them.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they've got Najee Harris as their running back, he played extremely well. He looked really good. Remind me of some of those Pittsburgh running backs of old.
Yep.
So I think they definitely have a good weapon in that kid.
Definitely.
Yeah. But like I said, the Raiders improved to 2-0. The Steelers dropped to 1-1. And then to recap, the rest of the games are from around the league. As I stated earlier, the Broncos defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 20-13.
Which is not a surprise.
Yeah. Although, even though the Broncos did win that game 23-13, it was only a 10-point win, and Trevor Lawrence actually didn't look that bad.
No. And he was able to walk with the weapons he had.
Yeah. And obviously, the relationship that he's developing with Marvin Jones, wide receiver, is going to be key to the Jaguars having any success this year.
Yeah.
And obviously, Teddy Bridgewater has been a huge boost for the Denver Broncos.
Oh,
having a legitimate quarterback back there, and of course, it was a really good game for the Broncos.
And we both said before the season, it's like if Bridgewater ended up being the starter, they were going to do well.
Yeah. And
it's showing.
Yeah, it truly is. And they're actually doing a lot better than I thought. Because I didn't think they would win that first game, but they did. Against, what was it, the Colts?
Yeah.
In the first game? Yeah, something like that. So the Broncos improved to 2-0 on the season, whereas the Jaguars dropped to 0-2. Next up, we have the 49ers defeating the Philadelphia Eagles 17-11. So the Niners stay undefeated, and the Eagles drop to 1-1. Now that was, I don't know, kind of an ugly win in my opinion. Anytime you win a game and you score less than 20 points, it either means both defenses played extremely well, or it was just ugly all around.
There was a lot of mental errors played in that.
Yeah, and George Kittle has yet to emerge as a big-time weapon as he has been for the last several seasons this year.
And he really has to pick it up or he's going to get switched out.
Yeah. Next up is the Los Angeles Rams defeating the Indianapolis Colts 27-24. So the Rams improved to 2-0 on the season, while the Colts dropped to 0-2.
Yep.
There is another notable injury that we have to highlight too, with Carson Wentz spraining both of his ankles in that game, and it was I believe it was on the touchdown dive that he attempted. He somehow managed to sprain both of his ankles.
He somehow broke both ankles on his own.
Yeah, he didn't break it. It's just just a sprain.
I know.
However, from what we've been able to determine is he is still questionable.
Yeah.
To start this week, they haven't come to a full decision. He was at practice today. He was at practice the last couple of days. He's been very limited in participation. They are hopeful that he'll be able to start this weekend. If not, it'll be Brett Hundley.
Yep.
And then next up is the the Cincinnati Bengals at the Chicago Bears. The Bears rebounded with a win, an impressive defensive showing on their part, and they beat the Bengals 20-17.
Yeah, and the little bit we did see from Justin Fields, I have hopes.
Yeah, then there's another injury. Andy Dalton has already been ruled out for this week. It will be Justin Fields starting their game.
So So if you want to watch the game, watch the Bears game so you can kind of see how Justin Fields does.
Yeah, and with the Bears win, that makes both teams 1-1 on the season.
Yep.
After that, we have the Texans at the Browns, where the Browns came up victorious 31-21, which moves both teams to 1-1.
And that one doesn't really surprise me. The Browns have been getting better each year, and it's been showing extremely well.
But once again, this seems to be a recurring theme for the week. Another starting quarterback got hurt. Tyrod Taylor has already been ruled out for the Texans' next game.
Yep. Which means they're on to the third string.
No, Tyrod is their starter. He's their number one guy. It's just that they're not willing to play Deshaun Watson.
Oh, I know.
So Deshaun Watson's like a healthy scratch, essentially, for the season.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know who it is that's starting. I think it's the quarterback they drafted.
Yeah.
That'll be starting this game.
So we have another rookie.
Yeah. So you got Fields, and like I said, I forget the name of the quarterback that they drafted, but he'll be starting this weekend.
But I have a feeling Fields is gonna be able to take this one.
Yeah. Now, the next game that we have is the Saints at the Panthers, and the Panthers beat the Saints 26-7.
Yeah.
And this is the game that kind of intrigued me the most out of everything, just because we saw how well the Saints played against Green Bay in Week 1, and then they just didn't.
Yeah.
Against the Panthers. Like, Sam Darnold actually looked really good. He made a few mistakes, but you can see that him and Christian McCaffrey are going to be a great tandem for the rest of the year. He's got Robinson and DJ Moore, who are going to be great weapons for him. Yep. And I think the Panthers are going to be a legitimate threat down there in the South.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, so the Panthers improved to 2-0. This is Sam Darnold's first 2-0 start in his career.
Yeah.
And the Saints dropped to 1-1. And this is basically the Jameis Winston that I was afraid might rear his ugly head for the Saints.
Being injury prone?
No, just him being inconsistent. under center because he made some big mistakes. He threw some bad passes, threw some really bad interceptions in that game. So I don't know. It's really gonna depend on whether or not the Saints can rebound from this loss.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's early in the season, so they should be able to. Theoretically, with the defense that they have, they should be able to rebound from this.
Yeah.
But also, if Jameis Winston continues to play that way that he did in this game,
they're going to lose the next game.
They're going to lose a lot because there's no way a defense can compensate for that.
No. Your defense can only do so much, but it's your offense that has to put up the points.
Yeah. Next up is the Vikings at the Cardinals, where the Cardinals won 34-33, another big shootout.
Yeah, and that one was a good one.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray got you, 73 points in our fantasy league because of that? Oh, my God. This has been an impressive offensive showing from the Cardinals to start off the season.
And Kyler Murray is still getting better.
Yeah, but their defenses are going to need to... Well, actually, their defense played really well against the Titans.
Yeah, both
last
sides.
week. But this week, obviously, the Vikings offense, which
struggled
is a lot better. Not really. 33 points. They only lost by 1.
Yeah, but with how good their offense is, they had multiple opportunities to get more points on the board, and they couldn't.
Yeah. But the Cardinals have improved to 2-0, and the Vikings dropped to 0-2.
Yep.
And a key fact that should be known, the home team of this matchup between the Cardinals and the Vikings has won each of the last 8 matchups. So whoever's been the home team has ended up winning this for the last 8 times.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then next up is the Falcons at the Buccaneers. Surprise, surprise. Tom Brady beat the Falcons again.
Against Matt Ryan.
48-25.
And Matt Ryan just couldn't get anything going.
I mean, they actually played really well in the first half.
They played well, but the second half, they couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I got to think Matt Ryan is having some PTSD moments there from that Super Bowl. Because, yeah, Tom Brady did it to him again.
Yeah.
There's not much else that can be said.
Nope.
Tom Brady won that game. He had 4+ touchdowns. I think he had 5.
He had 5 total.
Yeah. So
5 passing TDs, and that's all he needed.
He didn't even break 300 yards.
No, he
came close, but he didn't break it.
I want to say he hit 287, I believe.
It was something. It was 270 something or 280 something, because I have him as my quarterback in fantasy as well. Yeah, it was just. Yeah. Not much that can really be said about that. It was just really. Tom Brady beating the Falcons again.
He went off.
Now, surprisingly, this next game is the Tennessee Titans at the Seattle Seahawks, and the Titans came up victorious in that one, 33-30.
That one I knew was gonna be a close game, because you have.
Yeah, but I didn't expect as many points to be scored. I expected I expected somebody to win like 23-17 or something like that.
I kind of saw them going mid-20s, but it's like I knew it was going to be a good shootout, because you have Russell Wilson versus Ryan Tannehill, who both have really good arms and really good weapons on their sides.
Yeah, but it really was Derrick Henry for the Titans that did this one. I mean, 41 touches, 237 scrimmage yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's
that.
This was the Derrick Henry we should have seen last week.
Yeah, and it's like Derrick Henry, Seahawks couldn't answer to their runs.
I mean, they tried their best. They still only lost by 3 points, so it's still a good game.
But Derrick Henry ran literally the entire team over.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what he does. That's his MO.
He's another type of Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, arguably he's better than Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, but so with that, both teams are 1-1 as well.
Yep.
So that means 5 of the 8 teams in the West, both AFC and NFC, are still undefeated in the league.
Yep.
With the Chiefs, Chargers, and Seahawks all dropping a game this week.
Yep.
So we went from completely undefeated AFC, NFC West to 3 of the 8 teams losing. But most of them were close games.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, I think all of them were close games.
Yeah,
all of them were 3 points or less. So,
yeah.
But it means the AFC teams or the West teams are going to be tough this year.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
those games are going to be a good battle.
Yeah. And of course, the teams that have been good for the last several years they're going to stay good this year.
Yeah.
So, but that's it for a recap of week 2.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, like I said, we've got our week 3 preview coming up here in a little bit. Before we go, though, just want to remind you of what we're doing this week or this month. This is National Suicide Awareness Month. Like we've said before, we understand times are hard. We understand times are tough, whether it's financially, mentally, emotionally. We get it. We've been there. We know what you're going through. We understand it. If you are struggling, if you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, there are people there willing to help. So on the screen right now, and what I've been doing is basically the last 5 to 10 minutes of each one of our episodes, I've had the number for the National Suicide Hotline up on screen. That will continue to be the way it is for the rest of the month at least. So please, like I said, if you or someone you know is struggling, give them a link to this episode. Tell them where to go to find it. There are people waiting on the other end of those phones to help you get through these situations. We want to help you get through these situations. Our contact info is there in the descriptions as well. It pops up on the screen every so often as well.
We've been through it or we've been around people who have been going through it, and it's like it just helps being able to just talk.
Yeah, and we want you to know you are not alone.
No,
we are there. We and other people are there for you. There are people out there that care for you, and we want to see you get the help that you need.
Yeah.
So please feel free to call that number if you need to. Reach out to us if you need to. We know it can be hard to admit that you're having a problem. We understand that. Sometimes you just you either don't want to burden other people with your problems, you don't want to, you may be a little too proud to admit it. We get that, but we just want to make sure that everyone knows that you're not alone. There are people there that are ready to help you get through these issues. Also, too, we are still trying to get that hashtag going. One conversation can save a life. I know it's a little long, but
it's the truth.
Yeah.
You do one conversation with someone and it will help you.
Yeah, just sitting there and calling up the friend that you know is struggling and saying, hey, how are you doing? And actually listening to their problems, it can make a world of difference. Yeah. So, with that, I want to say thank you to everybody who's been listening, to all the new support that we've gotten recently, all the old support that has stayed with us. So we want to thank you for that, and we hope that you keep going with us. And until the next one, we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.